At one time a French colony and formerly known as Indochina, the conflict in Vietnam began in 1955 after the French military pulled out of the region. The United States assumed military and economic support for South Vietnam, while North Vietnam was supported by China and the Soviet Union. The war lasted for 20 years, finally coming to an end in 1975, with heavy casualties being suffered by all sides. Over 50,000 American lives were lost during the conflict, while fatalities suffered by both North and South Vietnam are estimated to be over 1.3 million. While heavy fighting occurred in the dense, remote jungles of Vietnam, numerous encounters were reported by GIs who were reportedly attacked by a mysterious, bipedal ape-like creature. In today's episode, we will be looking into the mysterious rock apes of Vietnam. Even before the conflict in Vietnam began in 1955, people living in remote farming villages had known of the mysterious rock apes for hundreds of years. They are described as large, muscular bipedal creatures standing 6 to 8 feet tall with reddish-brown or black hair covering their bodies except on their hands, face, and the soles of their feet. Known by such names as Batutut, Ujit, or Ngwa Rong, meaning jungle people in English, tales of these creatures go back centuries. To the locals, these creatures are not considered mysterious or supernatural, but merely a fact of life. These creatures remained virtually unknown to the outside world until the conflict in Vietnam began to encroach upon their domain. The rock apes are said to be quite aggressive and have been known to frequently attack humans. They are said to travel in groups of anywhere from 4 to 20 individuals and are most active from dusk through dawn. The creatures were given the name rock ape by American soldiers who were attacked by ape-like creatures that often hurled rocks at them. A former soldier named Craig P.J. Jorgensen recounted the following tale in his book, Very Crazy GI, Strange But True Stories of the Vietnam War. A squad of 6 men from the 101st Airborne Division were on patrol in a remote, mountainous region of the jungle. As the squad approached the base of a hill, they were startled when a tree some 15 yards uphill from them began violently shaking. Believing it was the Viet Cong, the soldiers hunkered down and prepared to engage the enemy. The GIs were startled when they saw a 6-foot-tall, muscular, hair-covered creature step out from behind the trees. The strange beast stared at them for a few minutes, then quickly slipped off into the jungle. In 1968, infantryman Robert Baird describes an account where his unit began hearing strange noises in the surrounding jungle. They had set up camp for the evening and had set up tripwires around their camp to alert them of an approaching enemy. In the middle of the night, the sounds of tin cans attached to a tripwire could be heard rattling. One of the men picked up his weapon and went out to investigate. The soldier looked around the edge of the campsite but saw nothing. As he turned to go back to camp, he came face to face with a tall, hairy beast standing on 2 legs. In a panic, the soldier let off several short bursts from his weapon and dashed back to camp. He described what he saw to his squad mates, and for the rest of the night, the men stayed awake, keeping a watchful eye out for the mysterious beast. In the spring of 1969, a squad of soldiers came under fire as they were patrolling a mountainous region near the border. The squad took cover and were returning fire when suddenly a 7-foot-tall muscular creature covered in reddish hair ran past them directly into the middle of the firefight. The creature quickly disappeared into the jungle, when screams and gunfire could be heard from the enemy's position. Then silence. After an extended period of quiet and no signs of activity from the enemy, the squad went over to investigate the enemy's previous position. It appeared that the enemy had left in a hurry, even leaving some of their gear behind. When they looked a little further, they discovered the body of an enemy soldier who had viciously been torn apart. The squad was deeply disturbed by what they had seen and quickly made their way back to base. Perhaps the most disturbing and terrifying encounter of all occurred in 1966, when a unit of Marines were attacked by a large group of rock apes at a strategic location known as Hill 868. The Marines were patrolling an area near the base of the hill when they spotted movement in the dense bush. At first, the men thought they had run into a Viet Cong patrol, but what they saw instead was a 5 to 6 foot tall, very muscular creature standing on 2 legs covered in reddish brown hair. At first they thought it might be an orangutan. However, the creature walked very upright, much more like a man. The Marines saw another creature and then another. Not long after, the men radioed back to base, reporting that they were in the midst of dozens, perhaps even hundreds of these hairy bipedal creatures. The men radioed into base for instructions, and the captain gave them back specific orders not to open fire on the creatures and to hold their ground. The men were ordered to throw rocks at the creatures in order to scare them off. This proved to be a mistake, as the creatures began hurling rocks back at the soldiers, all the while howling and screeching as they did so. Soon the entire hill erupted in gunfire, as a bloody battle ensued between the Marines and the rock apes. After the smoke cleared, the jungle was littered with wounded Marines along with the bloodied bodies of several rock apes. Fortunately, no Marines were killed. However, several were seriously wounded and were evacuated by helicopter. The battle has since been known as the Battle of Dong Dun. Encounters with the rock apes became so frequent on Hill 868 that it was now being called Monkey Mountain by U.S. forces. U.S. forces were not the only ones encountering the mysterious rock apes. Hundreds of sightings and encounters were also reported by North Vietnamese forces as well. Encounters with the mysterious creatures had become so alarming that North Vietnamese government had embarked on a scientific expedition to study the rock apes in 1974. The team was headed by Professor Voi Ky of the Vietnam National University. The expedition failed to locate the rock apes, but did manage to find footprints, of which several casts were made. In the decades following the end of the war in Vietnam, sightings of the mysterious rock apes continued to be reported by villagers and farmers in the remote mountainous jungles of Vietnam. The dense, inaccessible regions of the country provide the ideal habitat for a large, bipedal primate to exist undetected. In 2017, an elusive deer-like animal called the chevrotain, once thought to be extinct, was rediscovered in the Vietnamese jungle. In recent years, dozens of previously unknown species of birds, snakes, and insects have been discovered in the jungles of Vietnam. As recently as 2020, a new species of monkey called the popo langur was discovered in the Mekong region of Vietnam. Is it only a matter of time before science confirms the existence of the rock apes of Vietnam? Until then, these mysterious creatures remain as one of the strangest stories to emerge from the war in Vietnam. This concludes today's episode of the Paranormal Report. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. The team at the Paranormal Report really appreciates your support.